Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Mi, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to talk about Elbaf and a possible connection to Luffy's new abilities. So after Luffy's Fruit Awakening, he's now able to use his body in any way that he wants, and recently in the manga we saw that he has managed to be able to turn his body into a fully sized giant. As we can see in his new Gear 5 transformation, Luffy can modify his body in any way he wants without restrictions or limitations, and is pretty much limited by his imagination. This is kind of different than what we'd seen before, where when he first started using Gear 3, after enlarging one body part, say as a foot or a fist, he'd pop into a smaller size for a certain amount of time. So in this video, we're going to talk about the possibility that Joy Boy, or at least a former user of Nika's fruit, was in the past a great god of the giants. And now that Luffy has managed to occupy that position, how Luffy might be accepted by the giants as a god just as Joy Boy once was. But before we get into the video, if you're new to the channel, we'd be absolutely honored if you consider leaving us a like or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing the video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, recently in the One Piece manga, we saw that Luffy is now able to make his body incredibly large and even resembles a giant, and even achieving the greater strength that a giant seems to have in that form. But even in his giant form, his appearance remained the same, and what was really interesting about this is that his clothes seemed to enlarge just like he did. But despite his clothes enlarging, Luffy's straw hat seems to stay the same size and remain small. And we do have to remember that M-sama owns a giant hat identical to Luffy's that may have actually belonged to Joy Boy. So perhaps that big straw hat that M-sama owns belonged to Joy Boy in the past when he was using maybe something like a Gear 5. And just like we saw with Luffy, his clothes enlarged just like he did. So it could be possible that Joy Boy, during the past, he may have kept his hat on his head while he became a giant using the power of the fruit. But then while he was in that giant size, somehow he lost his life, and the straw hat fell off his head, which, being still giant, it wouldn't necessarily have shrunk back with him, so it kept itself in that form that whole time. Now, it's also possible that Joy Boy could have just straight up been a giant. However, there is also a really big likelihood that Joy Boy was at least a god of the giants or had a high status, and now that Luffy has managed to obtain the same fruit with his ability to now take the size of a giant, could he end up with the same role or inheriting some title among the giants? Now, from what we know about the giants in One Piece, they are a clan of warriors, all of whom possess great strength and generally live up to 3 times longer than human beings, and this allows them to have a very different perspective on events in history. Now, despite their size, giants are still easily wounded just like an ordinary human, and their bodies do have a great resistance corresponding to their strength and size, but it's still much less than what Luffy's would be if he was in a giant form. So we know that giants could be wounded by their opponents, and this might give Luffy an advantage. Now, this doesn't mean that giants are going to be a pushover. I mean, due to their gigantic sizes, they are more resilient than a human being, and they are much stronger than most anybody else Luffy would fight. So this is still a formidable opponent capable of giving heavy damaging blows. Now, throughout Luffy's journey, he and the Straw Hats have constantly been warned about how dangerous giants can be, for their forces are easily capable of destroying a ship or even mountains, or, in the biggest sense, could be destroying islands. Luffy and the Straw Hats have also learned about the existence of a deity that these giants worship, and this deity may actually be the one called the Sun God. But even though giants might have a belief in a sun god, and even might seem to fear him, as we saw when Mother Carmel used her soul power to create a sun homie, and many of the giants fled or kind of reacted in terror, some of them do leave on trips and go beyond the world of Elbaf, and so this gives them an opportunity to widen their beliefs and even change their personality away from such a primordial fear. Plus, just because they know the story of the sun god, they may not actually know the real history of how the sun god relates to a bigger picture in the world of One Piece, much less the enmity that Nika has with the Marines and the world government. Because for these different groups, Nika has a very different opinion on what the Marines or the world government believe is fair or just. Now, we do see that some giants do choose to work for the world government or even enlist in the Marines, because during the Battle of Marineford, we did see many giants working on the Marine side, and they were trying to prevent Ace from being saved by Whitebeard and Luffy. So there's a very good likelihood that the giants who were fighting in Marineford really may not even know much about Nika at all, or even the Sun God, because they may not have ever seen or been present when Mother Carmel used her power. So the real identity of this Sun God, for many many cultures might have been forgotten over the years, but the Giants may still consider Nika great because of Joy Boy during the past, because it's even possible that Joy Boy, while using his sun god power, might have helped the Giants or done some kind of liberation. Now, whether Joy Boy were in a normal kind of human size or a giant form or even bigger than them, we know that he was recognized in Elbaf and could have a very deep story there. So with varying degrees of connection to the Nika story, we have Giants that may not know the story at all because they were kind of raised outside of Elbaf. We might even have those that are very heavy duty into the knowledge, but either way, one of the things that all Giants really do believe in and have a great honor for is that to lose your life on the battlefield is a great honor, and that duels and things of that nature are incredibly sacred battles where only the strongest gets their wishes fulfilled by a god, and the very god they could be talking about is our sun god Nika. So because of this deep warrior culture, it has also become very competitive among the Giants, so they train hard to become the strongest so that they can beat their opponents and eventually ask the sun god for something or some kind of wish. Now, it's because of their great strength and size and this training and dedication to that warrior spirit that the Giants of Elbaf are considered to be the strongest or even the army that is capable of destroying anything in the world. And although there are those that might treat the winners of a fight as heroes or as if they can get some kind of victory or favor from the sun god, there are Giants that believe that fighting and losing their lives in battle is not a thing worth dying for. For example, when Jaguar D. Sol was talking to Robin, he said that he considered Giants' battle culture as meaningless because they were only hurting themselves and for really no purpose. So this could demonstrate that there could very well be Giants that do not wish to fight, but this also could be a function of Giants like Sol who may have been raised away from the culture and didn't necessarily know, or were raised with that belief in that warrior style of death and glory. And aside from the Giants, we also have to consider the fact that there is a sun god among the fishmen and also a god Nika of Skypiea. So it is possible that all three of these deities are actually the same person, and it could even go so far as to the same person who ate the one mythical Zoan fruit. Now, even if a human or somebody were to eat this fruit, they don't exactly become a deity. I mean, they do have this incredible power, and as long as they unlock it or awaken it, they will have more power above ordinary users. But this isn't a one-shot kind of thing for just anybody who eats the fruit. Now, among the qualities that have made a real impact on all of these cultures would have been the way that you look after you awaken the devil fruit. The user's hair and clothes become completely white, and we don't know if this is to represent the sun or some representation of a divine light. So with this and the ability to grow as large, if not bigger than Giants, this would easily give Joy Boy a way to be considered a god among Giants. So at the end of the Wano arc, there is a very good possibility that the Straw Hats will be going to Elbaf after they leave, because not only is it a very important place in the story, but it also seems that Shanks may have something that exists there, or at least knows about some knowledge that's there. We also don't know what Shanks could have learned from Roger about Elbaf while he was on the ship, because we do know that Shanks has a definite connection to the Giants, so it could be that Luffy and his companions will go there, not only just to meet the Giants, but also perhaps to make a connection with Shanks. One other large possibility is that there actually could be a poneglyph or even a road poneglyph on the island of Elbaf that would get the Straw Hats closer to the One Piece, because we do know that Roger did go to the Giants Island to get information during his journey. So Luffy and company will most assuredly go to Elbaf at some point, and now that he has this awakened devil fruit and Gear 5, who knows what awaits him on this island of giants. And once Luffy has full control over his Gear 5 and his ability to manipulate his sides, who knows what ways he'll need to use it in this way to either assist the Giants of Elbaf or even liberate them, because there's still this ominous character of Loki that we don't know about in future events. Either way, we know that Luffy's gonna want to recruit the Giants to his side, and also there's the other tie-in of Usopp with his Dory and Broggy connection that we know we'll want to see happening in Elbaf as well. But either way, Luffy has become one of the most dangerous people for the world government as he has managed to awaken this fruit. So whichever way we're gonna see this happen, we're gonna see the world government step up their work, as well as what happens when Teach learns about this as well. Now, as we wrap up our video for the day, we want to thank you so much for watching to the very end. Make sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you've made it this far, give us a like as you head out to take on the rest of your day. Hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.